Golden State Media Concepts Sci-Fi Podcast. Together we dive into the world of sci-fi and science fiction. From episodes of Star Trek, Star Wars, to The Walking Dead, Resident Evil, all the hot new science fiction movies from the backdoors of Marvel or DC. The Golden State Media Concepts Sci-Fi Podcast. You'll never look at science fiction the same way again.
Hello there, everybody. This is Jay bringing you the GSMC Sci-Fi Podcast, a part of the GSMC Podcast Network. So we got some really interesting stuff to cover this week, so let's just jump right in. So the first one is a new trailer that came out, and you know, I've seen all the Men in Black films. I can't say I really didn't like any of them. Men in Black 1 did a really good job of kind of bringing, like, you know, Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones, two unlikely, you know, people together, which was really, I think they did a wonderful job with that. Then, of course, you got Men in Black 2, where it was basically, you know, Will Smith's character Jay has to go and get, you know, Agent K back because of, you know, a whole crisis thing going on. Then we got a number of years later again, we got Men in Black 3, where Will Smith's character Jay has to go back in time to prevent Kay from being killed, pretty much, is basically what happens. And, yeah, these were all really good films, really good special effects, great characters, great stories, great villains. And, of course, we can't forget there was a Men in Black cartoon, which I have watched a little bit, but I definitely haven't watched every episode. But the episodes I watched, I did enjoy, and I want to say there might be Men in Black comics. Don't quote me on that, but I want to say there might be. So it's a pretty big, pretty popular thing at this point. It's just the way it is, you know. And there's been a number of Men in Black films. I think the cartoon had a couple of seasons. Again, I'm not really sure, but yeah, it had. I think I want to say it had at least 2 seasons, maybe a bit more than that. So, anyways, it's been a couple of years since we got Men in Black 3. There's been rumor, and again, don't, you know, necessarily take this for a grain of salt because it's just a rumor, but there's been a rumor they want to do a crossover of Men in Black and 22 Jump Street, where I believe it was going to be like, you know, Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones, Jonah Hill, and Channing Tatum, I believe. Now, is that happening? I think it's just talk at this point. I don't think there's like proof, like a trailer or anything like that, but it could definitely happen. So anyways, jumping into our first topic, there is a new Men in Black trailer, which is called, I originally saw it as Men in Black International. It's got Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth, who were both just in Thor Ragnarok together, and Liam Neeson is in this. And it's interesting because it is going to be, you know, like we see another branch of Men in Black, I guess. Like there's something that happens in like England where they get sent there to stop it. And I guess Tessa Thompson's character, like, I don't know if she says, hey, I want to be a, you know, agent of Men in Black, or what really her backstory is. But, yeah, like, and this is a film that looks like it just kind of wants to tell another side of this top secret organization that supposedly, quotation marks, doesn't exist. That's what this is trying to do. And, yeah, I've watched the trailer a couple of different times, and, well, let's see, so where should we begin? It does have good special effects. We get to see some familiar aliens, some brand new aliens, some brand new tech. But I don't know. I mean, when I watched this trailer, I'm like, this is a film that definitely I think is a risk because, to my knowledge, Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones don't show up in this thing at all. To my knowledge. They're not in it. They're nowhere near it. They're not close to it. They have nothing to do with this film as far as I know. So with that in mind, that could be a little risky. I mean, don't get me wrong. Chris Hemsworth is a good actor. Tessa Thompson is a good actor. They're both good actors. And like I said, they were not long ago in Thor Ragnarok. But here's one of my concerns. I have a few concerns. So one concern is Chris Hemsworth is good in the MCU, but not necessarily good in much else. An example in point in the new Ghostbusters, that came out a few years ago now. I don't think he was that good in it. It was kind of weird to see him play the weird ditzy, receptionist, I think is the right term. But yeah, he wasn't that good in that. He was kind of weird and wacky as the villain, not really dangerous or scary in any, shape or form. And he's done a number of other films where same thing, he's not bad in those films, but they're not like, oh my god, his best roles ever. No, not really. And Tessa Thompson, again, she's a good actress. I think she will do well in this, but I'm not sure if the pairing of the two of them together in this film is going to be a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not really sure. Now, it's nice in this trailer. We get to see, I want to say her name is M. We get to see that she's still in charge of Men in Black, so that's good. And it starts there, and we get to see, the secret entrance and the guy at the door. We get to see all that, which is kind of cool. But I don't know. And, supposedly what it says in the trailer is they've been compromised, supposedly. So, I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I'm I want to be excited for this movie, but I don't really know. I mean, because this is, I believe, to my knowledge, the first time at least on the big screen, and I think even in the cartoon, where it's hey, J and K are nowhere near this freaking thing. They're just not. And of course, with how big Men in Black is and an organization, it's not crazy to think hey, there's other, partners besides just J and K. Oh, yeah, it's not a crazy thought. That's not a crazy notion at all. No, not even a little bit. But I think that it would make more sense, in my opinion, to at least have maybe either of them show up in some sense or form. Maybe they do. I don't know. Remember when they did that trailer for Goosebumps 2 on Haunted Halloween, and in the first trailer, you saw nothing of Jack Black. He wasn't anywhere near, well, great, they're doing a sequel without Jack Black. Another trailer came out closer to its release. It was oh, no, Jack Black is in this. He's R.L. Stine, don't worry. But he was the only person from the first to the second. So, for all I know, why I made that kind of odd point there is that maybe another trailer will see, oh, look, Agent K is in this. And maybe he's not an agent anymore. Maybe he's something higher up in the chain, and maybe we'll see Agent J. Maybe he's the one that trains Tessa. Who knows? I mean, so it could be like that. It's a possibility. I don't know. I mean, when I see when I saw this trailer, I'm it could be a good movie. There's a possibility. There's the potential for it to be good, but it could be a horrible train wreck too. It just could be. So I don't know. This is a film I really want to see more of. I want to learn more about what it's about. I'd like to see another trailer that maybe lets us know more. Okay, why were these two put together? What's really going on? What's the new alien threat? Because okay, so supposedly they're compromised, like I said, but okay, was it an alien that compromised them? Was it a past agent that compromised them? What's going on here? Because, in most of these trailers, they showed, I think Earl was the bad guy in the first one, who ended up being a giant cockroach bug type thing. In the second one, there was Serlina. I think that was her name, Serlina sounds right. And the third one, it was Boris. So we at least knew, okay, who's the main bad guy? Who's the main alien? Who's the main, person or creature that Men in Black, J and K need to take down. And this, we don't know that. So this is a film that I want to be excited for. I'll probably go and see when it comes out, but I do want to know more before I get really, really excited about it. And that's just the truth. So Men in Black 4 or Men in Black International, I've seen it named both online. So I'm going to go call it Men in Black 4, but I think it could go either way. So we'll see. That's all I can really say. Yeah, this trailer is available on YouTube now. You can watch it. You can check it out, and maybe pass your own judgment on it. Maybe you're on a different footing than I am. So we're gonna take ourselves our first short little break. We'll be back in a moment with more sci-fi news. What would it be like if we all listened more? Listening to audiobooks motivates us, inspires us, even brings us closer together. There's no better place to listen than Audible, because now Audible members get even more exclusive audio fitness programs, audiobooks, Audible originals, and more. Audible has the largest selection of audiobooks on the planet, and now with Audible originals, the selection has gotten even more custom with content made for members. So one book that I found on here that I think is really cool, and it's a book that I remember very well as a kid. Since it's been made into a few films, it's been made into a, there was even a cartoon series from it. It's actually Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Yeah, this is on here. It's narrated by Jerry Terrihan and Linda Terrihan. It's only about 26 minutes, and yeah, this would be a great book for not just kids to listen to, but hey, the whole family can listen to it together. I think it's a wonderful classic book, and it's a really fun book, and it's a great book, to check out on Audible right now. So every month, Audible members get 1 credit good for any audiobook they choose, plus 2 Audible originals from a changing selection that they can't get anywhere else. They also get access to audio fitness and health workouts created exclusively for Audible. Plus, your books are yours to keep. With Audible, you can go back and re-listen anytime, even if you one day do cancel your membership. Didn't like your audiobook? Exchange it. No questions will be asked. Start a 30-day trial and your first audiobook is free. Go to audible.com/GSMC SciFi or text GSMC SciFi to 500-500. You can do it with audiobooks.
What happens to your decision-making when you drink? Well, after one drink, you feel confident. A few more, and calling your ex at 1 a.m. seems like a great idea. And you're pretty sure the secret to a great taco is 4-day-old macaroni. The bottom line, drunk you doesn't make great decisions. So you're risking a DUI or worse if you count on him to get you home. Plan before you party. Get home safe. Brought to you by Washington Target Zero.
Hello there, everybody. This is Jay, back with some more sci-fi news. So, I could consider myself a DC fan. I could, I've read some of the comics lately. I've really enjoyed them. I've watched, animated shows like Justice League Unlimited, Justice League, what was the other one? Oh, yeah, and just Justice League. I've watched the Batman animated series. I've watched Batman Beyond. I've even watched some of the animated films like Death of Superman, Batman the Killing Joke, Justice League, The Judas Contract. I mean, I've watched a number of these different animated films here, and I've seen all of the animated live-action DC movies lately, at least since Batman vs. Superman. And, as I've said on here before, the MCU is just doing pretty well. They're doing a good job with their films. They know what they're doing. They've built a really strong foundation there and a really great base, and pretty much all those films have been good. Sadly, for the DCEU, as they call it, I really can't say the same thing. It's just the truth. Now, don't get me wrong. Batman vs. Superman, I didn't hate it. I really didn't. It had some good things going for it. It had some really bad things going for it, too. Some things that didn't really make sense, although at the same time, it did introduce Wonder Woman in a very, very powerful way. It just did. Then we got Suicide Squad, where, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn and some of the other characters were good. I didn't personally hate Jared Leto's Joker, but it was different, and it was trimmed down a lot. It really was. There was supposed to be a lot more Jokers they were supposed to see than we actually saw. And Justice League wasn't bad. They did, I think, a good job introducing a different The Flash who was Barry Allen, and we did get to meet Aquaman in that. So there were some good things about these films, but their biggest problems, at least in my opinion, were really weak villains. They just were. That's just what happened. That's just the truth. That's just the way it was. In Batman v Superman, we got this weird, Doomsday-like thing that wasn't really Doomsday, and we had Lex Luthor, who was kind of evil, but not really how Lex Luthor usually is. In Suicide Squad, we had this odd, villain called Enchantress. You're like, okay, I don't even really know who they are, but they're not really that powerful, nor are they really that dangerous of a villain. Not really in the grand scheme of things, especially as DC is concerned. And then, of course, in Justice League, you think we get someone like Darkseid, right? You'd be wrong. No, we got Steppenwolf, one of his kids, and not one of his more well-known or strong kids, may I add. So, but then again, we got Wonder Woman, where even though, again, not really the strongest villain on planet Earth, it was at least like a villain. Okay, I could see Wonder Woman going against said villain and having a challenge with said villain, and so we've had. Really, I think that was the only really good DC live-action film I've seen lately that really delivered in every way and more. So we had come out recently. We finally got to see. I finally got to see Aquaman. Okay, Jason Momoa has clearly had a lot of fun playing this character. When I was at Comic-Con and they introduced the first trailer, you could just see he was having a blast doing it and being a part of it, and we got to see all the cast. And it's got a good cast. It really does. And there's been good hype for this. It's been, as far as I've seen for the trailers, it looked like it was going to be hey, DC's going to know what they're doing. So I got to see this movie about a week or two ago now, right before the holidays. And so let's go on the good stuff first. So the good stuff is, I personally thought the special effects looked great. I really did think that. We do get to kind of hear the origin story of Arthur Curry, a.k.a. Aquaman. So we get to see this, I think, in a good way, in a powerful way, in a way that we haven't really seen before. So we get to see that. And we get to see, kind of his fall from grace and, why he isn't really at Atlantis. We get to see his brother Orm, which is, becomes a powerful villain later. So we get to see him. Willem Dafoe is in this. It's actually in a pretty good role. And we get to see a little bit as the film goes on, hey, how, Arthur Curry kind of, got used to his, Atlantean side of him. And by the way, his dad in this is Jango Fett, and he also actually voiced Moana's dad in Moana. So it's a guy, who's been in a number of films. So it's he did a good job as that role. And it is true, Jason Momoa loves playing this character. He has a blast playing this character, and you could tell that, he had a lot of fun in every scene he's in. So that's some of the really good things about this film. Now, sadly, this isn't a perfect film either. Now, the good news is, hey, there's really only about technically that's not true. So the surface world is kind of seen as an enemy to Atlantis and all the kingdoms under the sea, which there are more than just one. And there is Orm, who is kind of a villain, and then there's Black Manta, who is kind of a villain. And so there's three sort of strong, but at least they're known villains. Okay, I know who Orm is. I know who Black Manta are. I at least knew who these villains were. They weren't just villains you've never heard of before. So that was good, I guess. But the biggest problem with this film, for me anyway, was it was trying to tell, I think, 5 or 6 different stories altogether. And sadly, this didn't always work. It didn't. Now, I can't say that I hated this movie, because I didn't. I really didn't hate it. It didn't drag on as long as some of these films have dragged on. It really didn't. And it's actually kind of an exciting story with a few cool twists and turns here and there. Nicole Kidman is in this movie as Arthur Curry, Aquaman's mom. So it was kind of cool to see her in another role, although she was in a very similar role in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Not even joking. And so there wasn't a whole lot of surprises in this film with her. Not really. And yeah, just like trying to tell all those stories, like that was the biggest concern. It's like you're trying to go like in all these different directions and try to somehow have them all make sense and come together, and it really didn't. It felt kind of like at times like, okay, what are we focusing on now? Okay, we're focusing on this. Okay, are we still focused on that? No, we're on this now. Okay, where are we now? We're on this. Okay, now we're on this again. Now we're back at this. You're like, dude, like what in the world? WTF? I don't understand. What's going on here? I'm confused. So it was a little hard to follow, but I can't say it was really, really hard for me to follow or keep focus either. It really wasn't. And I'm just going to say this because I think it's true. The bar for the DCEU is pretty low right now. So for me, I can't say this film is an amazingly mind-blowing film that I'll watch again and again and again. I just can't say that. It's not true. I'm not going to do it. But I can say at the same time, it's better than most of the DCEU films we've gotten. It's not at the level of Wonder Woman, but it's better than those other films. It really is. It is. It's better than them. So I don't know. I did not hate this film. I probably wouldn't be against watching it again. But it's not at the bar of the MCU. So it's kind of like, it's I don't know, it's just because, like I said, we haven't gotten that many good DCU films. Not really. Just the truth. We really haven't. DCEU films, we just haven't. So it's kind of like, you're like, I left going, okay, I liked it. It was good. But my mind wasn't blown. I wasn't like, oh my God, this is so amazingly amazing. I can't wait to see what happens next. I wasn't really in that place. No, not really. So, it's a good film. I mean, you know, it's a fun film. It has some good moments. There weren't a huge amount of surprises for me. Not really. But it's not a bad story. It's not a bad plot. Like I said, Jason Momoa truly has a blast playing this character. It's very, very clear. He reminded me a lot of like Ryan Reynolds being Deadpool, just in the fact you could tell this person loves playing this character. They will gladly play this character again, no problem. So I got that same vibe with Jason Momoa. I really did. And also I'll say this, the film didn't necessarily set anything like really, oh my gosh, amazing setup. Not really. I mean, there is an after credits scene, you're like, oh, okay, and you see it, I'm like, all right, that was kind of cool, but I don't know. It's like, how is that going to play into the DCEU? How is that going to happen? I don't really see it. So this is almost like a film that's in the DCEU, but it's at the same time standalone in a sense where you're like, okay, does it really have anything to do with what's going to happen next in the DCEU? I don't think so. I'm not really sure. It doesn't really give you that vibe. So, yeah, it's a good film. It's better than most of the DCEU films we've gotten lately. But I don't know. I think it's going to be one of those films that's going to do okay, but it's not going to be as popular or as big as I think as they hope it to be. That's where I stand with it. But if you want to see a good DC film, it is good. I wouldn't say go to see it in 3D or IMAX. I don't know if that's really necessary in my opinion. Although I guess you could if you really wanted to, but I wouldn't recommend it. But I think you'll enjoy it. I think so. I think most people will enjoy it. It's just like, for me, the bar for the DCU has been set so low. It's like, hey, it's above the bar what we normally got. It's just kind of the truth. It's just where I stand with it. So, yeah, it is available. It is out in theaters now. And if you do want to check it out, I wouldn't say you're going to regret doing it. So, yeah. So we're going to take ourselves another short little break. We'll be back in a moment with more sci-fi news. What would it look like if we all listened more? Listening to audiobooks motivates us, inspires us, even brings us closer together. There's no better place to listen than Audible, because now Audible members get even more. Exclusive audio fitness programs, audiobooks, Audible originals, and more. Audible has the largest selection of audiobooks on the planet. And now, with Audible Originals, the selection has gotten even more custom, with content made just for members. So, a book that's on here that I really want to listen to this actually now, is The Cat in the Hat. Of course, a Dr. Seuss classic. A book that's, been made into an animated film. It's a live-action film with Mike Myers in the role as the cat. There's been a couple of animated films lately that star the Cat in the Hat that have had Martin Short voicing the character. And this version is actually narrated by Kelsey Grammer, which I think it'd be a lot of fun to hear him narrate the Cat in the Hat. I think that'd be really, really cool. He was on, of course, Frasier and things like that. So yeah, I think this would be a really fun one to listen to. It's only 8 minutes long, so it's something you could listen to with your children, with your family. And I think it'd be a really cool, definitely an awesome book to check out in here. I highly recommend it. Every month, Audible members get 1 credit good for any audiobook they choose, plus 2 Audible Originals from a changing selection that they can't get anywhere else. They also get access to audio fitness and health workouts created exclusively for Audible. Plus, your books are yours to keep. With Audible, you can go back and re-listen anytime, even if you happen to cancel your membership. Didn't like your audiobook? Exchange it. No questions asked. So start a 30-day trial and your first audiobook is free. Go to audible.com/GSMC SciFi or text GSMC SciFi to 500-500. You can do it with audiobooks.
What happens to your decision-making when you drink? Well, after one drink, you feel confident. A few more, and calling your ex at 1 a.m. seems like a great idea. And you're pretty sure the secret to a great taco is 4-day-old macaroni. The bottom line, drunk you doesn't make great decisions. So you're risking a DUI or worse if you count on him to get you home. Plan before you party. Get home safe. Brought to you by Washington Target Zero.
All right, everybody, we're back for some more sci-fi news. This is Jay. So the last thing we're going to talk about on this episode, I originally stumbled upon a show on Netflix called Troll Hunters, which was in a series they called Tales of Arcadia. And I will be honest, I haven't watched season 1, but I have watched season 2 and 3. And I did really enjoy it. Guillermo del Toro was behind the series. It's computer animated, really good cast, really good, I personally like, special effects and story and characters and things like that. It's something that I really overall have really enjoyed. And so, it had Mark Hamill showed up on there, Kelsey Grammer. Who else have they had on this show? Oh yeah, they had Anton Yelchin, he was still alive. He was in the first 2 seasons and kind of did most of his work for season 3, voice work. It's just a really cool show, really cool story, really fun characters, with some really cool and exciting twists and turns along the way. So it's a show I'd highly recommend. I really enjoyed it. And it was different from most of the shows, at least I had seen on Netflix at the time. And so, anyways, in season 3, we get to kind of learn a little bit about 2 characters. We get introduced to 2 characters that seem like there's a bit more going on than it seems. One is just they seem like the sister seems like she kind of has the most Swedish or something like that, blonde hair, blue eyes, and her brother is really into DJing. So we get to see them a little bit in season 3, but we don't really know much about them. Well, the next chapter in the Tales of Arcadia series, as it is called, is 3 Below. And this is where we get to see, about Aja and her brother, whose name is escaping me at the moment, are from a planet where they have to escape said planet when it gets taken over by a coup. And, their guardian, kind of muscle of sorts, trainer, comes to Earth with him, and they crash land on Earth. And they're pretty much hiding on this planet until they can find a way to get back home. That's what happens. They are, so we get to see them in Arcadia a little bit, how they first come to Arcadia, how they get their disguises for Arcadia. And, this is, so we get to see, their adventures on there and how they're kind of getting used to it. And, I have to say I really enjoyed it. I really did. I wasn't entirely sure what to expect of it at first. I'd actually heard about this show, I want to say earlier in the year. But it was just gave me a description, all right, it sounds kind of cool. It might be kind of fun, but I don't know. It wasn't until I really saw, the first glimpse. I'm like, okay, this looks really cool. This looks like it's going to be a fun show. And it's really, this first season is of 13 episodes, about 20-something minutes each. It's got Diego Luna in it. We get to see, there are some episodes where they actually kind of, meet up with and even work with the troll hunters. So there's that little crossover. It happens a couple times on here, which is really kind of cool. But at its core, it's its own story. It really is. I think its full name is either 3 Below Tales of Arcadia or Tales of Arcadia 3 Below. It's one of those two. I've seen both, so I'm really not sure which one it's called. I just prefer to call it 3 Below, personally. But, it's a really great show. There's action, there's comedy, there's drama, there's suspense, there's a lot of really good fight scenes going on. The threat is a real serious, dangerous threat. It really is. And the main bad guy isn't the only bad guy they deal with. There's bounty hunters at one point. The betrayal comes to the surface toward the end. And there's just the fear, because, these two teenagers, in a manner of speaking, who become the king and queen in waiting, kind of have to find a way to keep morale up on their planet and survive in the meantime, and really just try to find a way to get back home. That's really their purpose. That's really their one and only goal. And at the same time, try to survive in Arcadia, which is a very different place to what they are normally used to, living in. It's just the way it is. It's a very, very different environment. And, I really, really liked this show, actually. It was a really fun season. A lot of really cool stuff happened. And I think it's fair to say this won't be the only season of this show, I think, because it didn't feel like a miniseries. It felt like, hey, you know what? Yeah, things kind of end, but then again, they're not done yet at the same time. There's actually, I believe, another series that's supposed to come out next year called Wizards. And it's going to be another Tales of Arcadia. It's supposedly, what I've heard is we've seen Troll Hunters, which got its 3 seasons, and as far as we know, that's over. No mas, right? As far as we know. Then there's this one, 3 Below, which, like I said, this season is 13 episodes. It's available on Netflix now, streaming, and all of that. And then there is the Wizards, which I think comes out next year. And as far as I know, like I said, I think there could be at least another season or 2 of 3 Below. As far as I know. Now, I could be wrong, but I think it's possible. And I kind of personally hope there is, because I did. I enjoyed this show. It was a fun show. It was better than I expected it to be. And it was kind of a fun, you got to see sides of, Arcadia that you didn't really get to see in Troll Hunters. And by the way, if you haven't checked out Troll Hunters, I do highly recommend it. It's kind of hard to get through season 1. I haven't gotten through it because it's 26 episodes, which that's a really long season for an animated show on Netflix, in my opinion. Whereas season 2 and 3 are 13 episodes each, and it was easier for me to get through said episodes because of that. Because it's not really the length of the episodes. Not really. No, it's just that, 26, that's a lot. I mean, I need to get through it. I admit this. I need to, sit down one day and just watch season 1 of Troll Hunters. It'd be a good plan for me to do it. I just haven't really had the time to do it, nor have I taken the time to do it. Because it is kind of overwhelming. That's a lot. That just is. It's just the truth. It's just the way it is. So, but this is a really fun first season, and like I said, I personally hope it's not the last. And I am definitely curious to know more about the next Tales of Arcadia. I'm curious about it, but I'd imagine we'll hopefully learn more as this year comes to a close and next year comes to the surface. I hope so, anyway. So, that's all the time we have for this episode. I hope you had a lot of fun and learned some really cool things. I know I had a blast bringing all this stuff to you, But don't worry, we'll be back real soon with more sci-fi news.